Happy Easter and welcome to episode 44 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
The 93rd Academy Awards are now 3 weeks away, my friend.
Yes, indeed.
Last week, you and I, for quite a while, a big part of the show, we talked about, the Best Picture nominees for I think we both kind of came to an agreement on a lot of them, and some when we came to a disagreement. I love that. I love that about that group. And this week, I kind of wanted to tag off of that, bounce off of that idea. I want to bring up the director race and kind of get your thoughts on where you're at. Obviously, we've seen a good chunk of these movies. I still haven't got to The Father because I don't think it's out yet to rent, but I will do that as soon as I can. 93rd Academy Awards, man. Are you getting excited?
Oh, it's all I'm thinking about. I am super excited. I mean, we've already carved out a day of Oscars where we're just going to fucking enjoy it.
Yeah. You and I are planning for sneak preview. We'll have a really fun Oscar Sunday show on the day of the Oscars. We're going to do a really fun exercise that day. But the next day on sneak preview, you and I are going to be able to do a sort of live recap of the 93rd Academy Awards.
Oh yeah.
And, being on this, the weird 2021 journey, you watched a lot of movies streaming and kind of just find them in different places. But this best director group, I personally love. I think all five have something extremely interesting to offer. So we'll start with, we have Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. We got Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. We got David Fincher for Mank. We got Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman and Lee Isaac Chung for Minari. Let's start with Chloe Zhao. Where do you see her in this race right now?
I think she's the obvious front runner. I mean, she's taken home every award for this movie. I don't, if she doesn't win the Oscar, I think that'll be the upset. And what she did with Nomadland, creating a film that feels like a documentary but isn't, and just utilizing cinematography and production design and just non-actors in a very unique way. I have no problem with her taking this home. She's done the work for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I think the main thing that you and I took away from this movie was her skill behind the camera and her just fucking the control that she has. And it makes you very curious about what's going to happen with, her Marvel stuff, and it makes you curious about what else is going to happen with, the rest of her directing career. Big time movie, Nomadland, of course. You're still predicting it to win Best Picture, yes?
If they're going to play it safe, yes. But honestly, all the films are so good, all the performances, all the directors. I really think this Oscars could be incredibly unpredictable and bouncy. I'm excited.
A little bit like last year. Yeah. Right. We had some shoe-ins where we knew kind of all year. We knew Brad Pitt was going to win, pretty much the entire time. We had a pretty solid idea Renee Zellweger was gonna do some damage. We knew a lot of these things, but we did not know Parasite was going to win 4, massive awards, right? So,
but the coolest thing also about this Oscars is we don't really have a lot of front runners for the acting awards.
Not at all.
Kind of anyone's game this time.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I don't think there's anyone here who's kind of head and shoulders above. I don't even know who I would choose if there is a front runner for any of these groups. They're all very fascinating, very competitive. I agree with you. I think Chloe Zhao is definitely who I'm predicting to win the award. I don't know if I'm polling for anyone in this group, but I'd be very happy for her, if she got the dub.
I'm pulling for someone, and we'll get to them.
Yeah. I think I have an idea. My favorite nomination is Thomas Vinterberg, right? For Another Round. The really, really cool shout out. It's his first nomination. As a director, this Danish movie, Another Round, Mads Mikkelsen just is providing, he kind of reminds you over and over, oh yeah, he's one of the best living actors right now, in his prime. Oh yeah. does that. He does that time and time again. And when someone does that over and over, you just kind of have to confront it and realize. And that's what happened with this movie for me. I'm just kind of, awestruck by Another Round, and I can't wait to do an episode based on it for this show. I think it's superb, and I really wish it was in that Best Picture group.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet because I am holding out for the inevitable episode.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. It'll be here before we know it. That's definitely the one I have circled, for this award, even before the awards even happen. I don't really care about the end result when it comes to doing these shows. One of my favorite episodes we've ever done is Boogie Nights, and that was nominated for 3 things but didn't win anything.
Yeah.
We've done episodes on stuff that has gotten little up. Fight Club, we got to do an episode on that, and it was an absolute blast, obviously. and that's what we like to do with the show. It doesn't really matter the amount of nominations, as long as you got that one.
Gold is gold. That's
yeah. And Thomas Vinterberg being in this group, this is massive for his career. I hope it wakes people up. I think The Hunt and Another Round is about as strong of a double feature you can get from any director. Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. I have some homework to do for sure.
What's funny about, for like you and I and this show, is I think he's more up your speed and your alley than mine. And I'm just kind of obsessed with, especially Another Round. I'm really into. So I'm just kind of shocked that not shocked, but when you find it, you're going to be like, holy hell.
Yeah.
And it's there. And I think I texted you when I was watching it, and I was like, holy shit, Sissy Strut is playing. Like, I mean, they're shouting out an awesome song, but also like Jackie Brown. One of my favorite 90s movies. Very, very cool stuff. I can't wait for you to see it. But this next one, here's a guy who seemingly, can't get that Oscar win for Best Director. Can't even get nominated when he's supposed to be nominated. That's David Fincher for Mank. Seems like the Oscars kind of pick the movies that I like less until now. Until now, I'm really into this movie, and I'm really excited to rewatch it. I think it'd be a great episode too, for this show. I could see him winning this award, right? Of course the movie is sort of about the, movie world, and there's like Oscar gold or literally in the frame at the end of the movie. And I think there's something to, to that specific thing, is when someone kind of writes a love letter to Hollywood or to the Oscars or to movie making itself, whether it be, positive or negative.
Yeah.
They just like that. Movie people just like that. You look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last year, you had a lot of people all of a sudden kind of, oh, what's Tarantino doing over here? This isn't Kill Bill, Kill Bill, Bastards, and Django. This is like, well, what's going on here? This is totally a love letter to the late 60s era of Hollywood. And I feel a similar way about Mank, about how people are kind of obsessed with movies and in the movie industry can probably find a specific, thing in this movie that they love. And there's fan, I'm just a huge Fincher fan. And I think he was just kind of on top of his game throughout this movie. So I would love for him to win, but I don't see it happening.
The thing with Mank that I think is going to hold it back is that, to me, it's not a love letter, it's hate mail.
Yeah, no, it is. It's negative. It's negative. Yeah.
It really doesn't paint 40s Hollywood in the best light.
No.
And Hollywood is not one to let a beef be squashed. So I don't know
which fair enough, right?
Yeah.
To paint to paint the 1940s Hollywood in a bad light, that's fair.
It's extremely fair. It's very much, yeah, it makes sense. But I think that, that might be the thing that keeps Fincher from gold yet again. And
agreed. It's like flirting with it, but it's not quite, like you said, it's not loving it. So yeah, I agree. I could see it, but not really, it's a tight group. It's a really tight group, and I just still think Chloe Zhao has just like way more on him as far as momentum goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fincher, like you said, should already have like 2 statues by now. I mean,
for what? Which ones do you think? Just like no, not even. We don't have to get super deep about it. Okay. But if you were kind of ranking directorial performances from Fincher, what 2 do you think are like, okay, that guy was clearly doing something special here? I mean, I know mine.
For me, and this is just like not even counting the stuff he was up for any of his films. To me, he would have 1 for Seven.
Okay.
And he would have 1 for Zodiac.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That one there is completely bonkers. That award show, the ceremony representing the films of 2007, there's some great things happening there, but you and I are on the same page. Like Zodiac being shut out is not right.
No,
it makes no sense for any year that Zodiac would get shut out, and it especially doesn't make sense now, 14 years later, when you watch it now and you're like, holy shit, this is his best movie.
Yeah, straight up. And Mank is great, but the guy he's done so much great that it's hard to measure up to even his own work at this point. Like Fincher's, he's basically betting against himself at this point. And I don't know, Scorsese is doing that too. There's certain directors where you reach a point in their career when they are just either unable to top themselves or continuously topping themselves. And I don't know where Fincher exactly sits there, but he's definitely become, I think, like an iconic American director. And you got to take that into account. Like you said, you've often said that there's a certain mystere around films that don't win. Like,
he's one of those guys.
Yeah. I think Mank is destined to be one of those films. I think this is going to be like the Chinatown of the 2021 Oscars.
Okay, yeah. I think we kind of touched on that because Chinatown had 11 nominations and won 1 for screenplay. And here we are with Mank has 10, leading all movies.
Yeah.
And I could totally see it just winning like 1 or 2. Totally.
I think we did talk exactly this exact conversation last week.
I think we pinned Mank as the Chinatown of this, kind of this era for sure. I think it's going to happen. I think we're right.
Yeah, I think probably.
I think that's definitely happening. Me, I think The Social Network is this kind of just wild 2-hour experience, and he's doing some pretty special stuff. That one in Zodiac definitely pulling for him to win stuff for those movies. And then the third would be Fight Club for me. I think that movie, especially for like when you're watching a guy kind of like, I think in the thick of his kind of ego. And I think this has happened with a lot of guys that kind of like took off in the 90s. I think it definitely happened with Paul Thomas Anderson and Wes Anderson and Linklater and these guys, but Fincher, you could see it so clearly in Fight Club that he's kind of just, all right, I'm going to throw every single dagger I have, every single idea, every single, little cut that I have in mind. It's happening right here in this movie. And, that's also, I'm also being biased. Like if you have Brad Pitt walking into a bar about to go lead a bunch of people into a fight club and Tom Waits Going Out West is playing, and you have David Fincher with a tracking shot, I mean, it's gonna be hard for me to look past stuff like that. And I think he was kind of just mastering his craft during Fight Club. I think there's so many cool tricks in that movie. I don't even think that movie has to work for everybody.
Yeah.
But when you're watching it, there's no way you can tell me you're not impressed by some of the touches. The content, fine. If you don't like it, fine. I don't care. That's cool. It's a whole different conversation. But Fincher is kind of in his element with Fight Club, and I very much wish that movie got more love at the Oscars too. That's why we did
Absolutely.
it on the show.
Yeah, I mean, Seven got, I don't think anything.
No, I don't think so. No. Well, yeah, and then Fight Club gets one, and Zodiac getting, yeah. Wasn't really, I guess, till Social Network and Dragon Tattoo and Gone Girl where it's like, oh, and Curious Case of Benjamin Button, of course. That would probably be the first one, really, 2008. I think people really started paying attention, especially when it comes to, awards and whatnot. Just a totally different movie, tonally, A Curious Case of Benjamin Button. So I understand that. But yeah, of course, we could talk about Fincher all day, but I want to get to this next person because I know you feel very strongly about Emerald Fennell. Take it away.
Yeah, she's who I'm pulling for. I think that giving her best director, especially for a debut, would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Oof.
I want her to have a very successful career.
A female debut. Woo.
Oh yeah.
I would love that. That's really cool. And of course you and I we talk about in our own time how frustrating it is, because there's obviously great female filmmakers for the past, 50, 60 years who are making awesome movies. And, Catherine Bigelow is the first one to break in. So I would be very happy if Emerald won on that kind of a note.
Well, and the movie's a fucking masterpiece in my eyes. And I want to see this film walk home with some gold. And I think it would be amazing if Emerald Fennell won. I don't think she has a very big chance at director, but I believe, I think she might be a shoo-in for screenplay. I think that might be where she takes this.
I could see that.
And I would love Carey Mulligan to take home Best Actress. I really enjoyed this movie and I really want it to succeed. And yeah, that's all I got really. I love the movie. I love the talent behind the camera and I hope she wins.
Yeah, sorry, but it's my it's my least favorite movie of the five, and I really like some of the stuff she's doing. I think it's obviously a very ballsy movie, and some of the stuff she's doing is fucking incredible. I've heard people talk about this movie, and describe it and like kind of use different adjectives or whatever for it, and it's fascinating. And I read one that was like it there's times where it feels like there's like a filter on it where you're kind of in this dazed dream, and I definitely have thought about that kind of over and over, that kind of feeling, that kind of gloss that you get. There's a gloss to, there's other movies that this is, has a way different page than Promising Woman, but like Ingrid Goes West has this gloss to it where you're kind of like, is this really happening? Or
yeah,
I really like that. I think it's an ode to a lot of really cool filmmakers. And I think Emerald on that note knew what she was doing. Well, but this movie for me as a fan was too confusing. Like if I were choosing someone to win, it would be like, I wouldn't be able to choose her just on behalf of like you loved the movie. So it's like, yeah, I want to award you, but I didn't love the movie. So I wouldn't want her to win, but I also would be happy for her because it'd be a female debut. That's really cool.
Yeah. I just, I want the gold to go to the person who deserves it. And to me, that's her. I was impressed, and I love that I was impressed. To me, there's so many ways you can view that movie. Considering there aren't any real consequences until the end of the film, you could argue the whole thing's in Carey Mulligan's mind. You could argue that this is all just her fantasy that she's not actually acting out. You could argue that. But the fact that there are so many different ways to interpret this thing, and the way she depicts this world that's like the ultimate horror for so many women. I just think it's an important film, and one I don't want to get lost in the shuffle,
Oh, well, that's very interesting because I don't think this movie is going to get lost in the shuffle. A movie that does get lost in the shuffle is one that is like dedicated to horror, like The Nightingale.
Oh, yeah.
A really, really gritty, like horrific rape revenge movie that does not get awards, does not get, because that's not at all what it's trying to do. Promising Woman is a whole nother kind of genre,
Yeah.
It's taking the revenge to a different place to, that's fascinating. That's really cool that we're kind of a part of that right now.
Well, I also like what I mean by Lost in the Shovel is I don't want people to stop talking about this after the Oscars. I want, and I think a statue is going to help this film have longevity.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, I definitely think it could help, especially for, if you see Best Director, that'd be a big deal. And you're beating Mr. Fincher and Chloe Zhao and Vinterberg and Lee Isaac Chung. That'd be really impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, and people like you and I care about the context. We like to compare and contrast and just kind of see what we like. So yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool talking about these movies, just kind of as they ride the wave into the Oscars. It's a lot of fun. Last one before we get into the movie of the day. Lee Isaac Chung, Minari. What? Perfect. What else can you say about this? This is perfect. I have nothing bad to say about this movie.
Yeah, I don't either. It's
flawless.
It's as American as it gets. It really is, it's a story about the American dream. And that's intoxicating. It's still, we all like to think it exists. It's probably bullshit, but whatever. We all like to imagine that, we can all be happy and have success. So we watch films about people enjoying that success, or at least trying to get it for themselves. And Minari is very much, living out that fantasy. Doesn't quite work out, or maybe it does. It's kind of up to you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think this movie's awesome, and I'm still stand behind my pick. Actually, I stand behind it, I think, a little stronger today than I did last week. I think it's gonna win fucking Best Picture, man. I really think this is something that's gonna happen. This movie, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Nobody has anything bad to say about it because it's so well crafted. And it is a story that you just cannot deny. Like you said, it's intoxicating. You cannot deny this just kind of simplistic, patient, beautiful story about people. It's about people, really. So many different people around the world can relate to this movie specifically. Yeah. There's other movies. There's Mank. If someone someone who doesn't have context or whatever, and just doesn't know anything about like American movie making, they'd be like, what the fuck is happening? You watch Minari and you're like, oh damn, I get that. I kind of get that. Siblings, relatives, mom, dad, home, work.
I think it's interesting.
Dinner. Yeah, it's amazing.
This year we have polar opposites facing each other at the Oscars. We have Minari and we have Nomadland, which are both chasing the American dream, but in vastly different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting that there's kind of a battle going on there, and whoever emerges victorious will kind of define the year in film. That's what I've always seen as the Best Picture doing, is defining the year in film. And this will be the film that does that. And I'm very anxious to find out who it's going to be.
I love that idea so much. The movie that defines the year, because obviously it's fun to make fun of the ones that definitely don't represent the year.
Oh yeah.
Like when the Oscars decided to not, there's plenty of roads I could go down here, but I'm going to go down one that I know you and I are both kind of on board for. Is, yeah, in 2003 you gave it to Return of the King, but is Chicago really better than Two Towers?
Oh man.
And those are fun to look at, because in my mind 2002 is two tower is the Two Towers, and 2001 is Fellowship of the Ring. and that's just, in my mind, those are the movies that kind of define those years, as far as financial and just being great films. And that's what we want Best Picture to go to. A movie like Parasite makes sense. All right, this was a really good movie, and it also made a shit ton of money and got a huge wave and a huge, momentum, and a lot of people all over the world saw in theaters. That's the kind of movies I want to fucking win.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to a recent episode we did, Chariots of Fire. How in the hell does that film represent the year of 1981 when you've got Raiders of the Lost Ark sitting over here.
Yeah, and that one makes, we probably should have hit on this more in that episode. It makes no sense, especially because of how kind of American and English speaking the Oscars are over the years, that you wouldn't choose Raiders. That Raiders, this movie that just destroys the box office hand over fist, and is still 40 years later an awesome movie.
Yeah.
And so, that's frustrating when you see that kind of a movie lose, when it's like, look, it's right here in front of you, a movie that did well and is good. Let's just pick that.
Yeah, I'm hoping, well, like we said last week, there's not really a bad choice here for Best Picture. Anything would be great. They're all great movies. But we have our favorites, and regardless, it's going to be a great show. Is there any director you think was left out, could have had a shot here? Like anybody?
Always, I think Shaka King is probably the first guy I would point to. I just think Judas and the Black Messiah is I just can't stop thinking about it still. And how kind of genre bending that movie was within a biopic, just doing so many things, and reminded me of The French Connection and just movies I love from the 70s. So I'm very grateful for that gift that we received, the movie world. I think Judas and the Black Messiah would be really cool if it won Best Picture. And I think Shaka King is one of the reasons it's so goddamn good. I think those two main performances have obviously taken a lot of the spotlight, but I think we do that far too often. Just as people, as fans, you forget that the camera has to move in a certain way for this to all work. And Shaka King has total control. Kind of came out of nowhere. It's just his second movie. So really cool.
Yeah. He was the first guy I thought of too, as in terms of being left out. Another guy who I think really I thought was going to have a shot is Florian Zeller.
Oh yeah.
What he did with that film, making it feel so personal to the audience, making you tethered to this family, feeling this inevitable sense of loss, not of, life, but of a mental state of love. It's just so original. I've never seen something like that. I've never seen the way he did that was so powerful. And I was hoping he'd get some nods here, but he did get a screenplay nod, and the film was up for picture. Hopkins and Coleman were both nominated. So it is getting love, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch this movie, and he's gotten all kinds of praise all kind of across Europe and across the world, really, on the award circuit. People have been kind of talking about him, so definitely that one's one that I thought of for sure. And then Regina King.
That was a shock. That was a shock that she didn't get nominated.
That movie, it hasn't kind of stuck with my mind like a lot of the other movies from this kind of award season.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the experience, but there's no question, there's no doubt in my mind that the best thing about that movie is that Regina King just totally knows how to film actors. She totally knows. She understands the language with it. She's been doing it for so goddamn long that it just makes sense that eventually she would be good behind the camera at age 50. It just is awesome. I adore her, that. So I would have loved to see her get a nomination, but it's tight, man. You only got 5 here. So what are you going to take out? I'm not taking Chloe Zhao out, not taking Vinterberg out, not taking Fincher out. You're not taking Emerald Fennell out, and we're not taking Lee Isaac Chung out. So it's very tight. It's very competitive. And that's always the thing. When people bring up snubs, it's like, who are you taking out?
Yeah. Well, and One Night in Miami, to me, it's strong. It's based on a play. Its strongest quality is the screenplay, and that was nominated, thankfully.
Yeah. See, I actually liked Regina King. I actually liked the way the movie was shot more than the words in the movie.
Okay.
I know that's probably an uncommon thing, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt about One Night in Miami. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I think I gave it an 8 at the end of that episode we did on Sneak Preview. But just as time has passed, and you kind of rank it up against these other movies, I don't think I liked the meat of it as much as most of these other movies.
Fair enough. Yeah, I love the subjectivity of it all. It's the conversation never stops.
Yeah. So before we get to the 10 Commandments, give me your prediction and the person you're really pulling for. I think we already know, but let's get it.
I think this is the only sure thing of this award show. I think Chloe Zhao is walking away with an Oscar. But if I had my way, Emerald Fennell would be walking away with an Oscar.
Yeah, and I think Chloe Zhao, I also think she's got this in the bag. Not totally in the bag, but it's not zipped up. But she's got the bag ready. And then I would kind of go crazy if Thomas Vinterberg won. I would kind of lose my mind. Or Fincher, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two guys, if either one of them won, it would be kind of like, jumping up and down on the couch. Well, you'll see. We'll be together. So we're going to be watching these together. So we're going to know going into it who we're pulling for and who we want. And either way, we both have so much fun.
Hell yeah. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, man. Well, today, it's Easter. So, neither of us are religious people here in 2021, but we have the 10 Commandments from 1956 to talk about. Got 7 nominations at the 29th Academy Awards. It won the Oscar for Best Special Effects. And I got to say, man, this movie kind of blew my mind on this first watch.
It's really good. And I was not expecting that. I was expecting nearly 4 hours of being bored out of my goddamn skull. And I was not. I was very invested in this. It's really cool. I didn't know anything about the story of Moses going in. I was not raised in a religious household. I was, I've kind of had to make my own faith in life, and the road I've found has served me well. But this film, I just knew, Moses parts the Red Sea. I knew about the plagues from Family Guy. And yeah, I got all of my religious knowledge secondhand from various movies and TV shows. I know the entire pantheon of the angels from Supernatural. So yeah, it's nice. To me, it's all stories. And this is a very interesting story about a man who was raised to think he's a prince, in reality, was a slave, and chose to be a slave, chose to be with his people because he believed they were being mistreated, and he was right. It's fascinating to watch Charlton Heston do this, and Yul Brynner and fucking Vincent Price. Like, it felt rewarding and deserving. And I was very surprised at that. I mean, I personally think the 50s is the worst decade in film history, just because of how little they were allowed to do. How oppressive the Hays Code was, and just how fucking white bread and fake American every movie was. But movies like this that tell grander stories than just American stories, that tell world-bending stories, they survive. There's a reason we're talking about this film 65 years after it came out. Yeah, very, very intriguing film.
Yeah, I agree. The 10 Commandments, I immediately thought of Prince of Egypt, the DreamWorks film, the animated one that came out, I believe, in 1998, or I think that's right.
Yeah.
A movie that was very, very, close to me as a kid, because I did go to church all my upbringing. I went to, pretty cool churches, though. Went to smaller one here in San Antonio until I was like 12, and then we moved to a different one that was quite a bit bigger here in San Antonio. And it was those two, and my family was very involved in the church. And I'll tell you what, man, this story right here is one of the most talked about, one of the most taught most pulled from, like in Sunday school and in church. There's a reason for that, because it's an amazing story. It's not like a. I'll be honest, it's not an easy. Personally, it's not necessarily an easy place to go down. Watching, movies that are trying to be as close to the Bible as possible, and put it on the big screen. It's not something that I'm drawn to in my life anymore. And so there were times where I was like, just thinking about how I used to believe this is all 100% true. And especially when you watch this movie, it's tough stuff. It's really tough stuff, and a lot of kind of mind-bending things happening. And so from the perspective of it's a movie, I think this movie is like stellar, and it has like a lot of really entertaining moments, and has some really, really like daunting and dark and gritty dialogue. Really good stuff in the screenplay, written by like fucking 9 people.
Yeah.
But it's a near 4-hour movie that kept me on my toes just as a movie. But I won't lie that just from my background and going to church and going to private school the whole way, through elementary, middle school, and high school, this is just kind of becomes super familiar with you, these stories, and my mind was all over the place, while watching it. At the same time, I was like, this is a really good movie. Yeah. Charles, like you said, Heston and Brenner are doing amazing stuff right now, and I was just kind of taken aback by it. There's a lot of individuals that are Oscar touched, if you will, that are involved with this movie. And as I was kind of looking at IMDb and scrolling and doing some research and looking at stuff, I was like, damn, this is one of the more kind of stacked films we've ever done on Oscar Sunday. We've done some stuff, like I remember when we did The Apartment, it's like every person who worked on it had some sort of Oscar nomination. But this one here, I've gathered a group of individuals, and I really want to just kind of go down the line, and look at their Oscar nominations, because it's just kind of daunting and impressive. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So I'd figure we start with our boy Cecil, the director himself. Is it that honorary award for the Golden Globes that's like named after him?
Yeah, the Cecil B. DeMille Award. Yep.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. And Jane Fonda, I was watching a video where she's like, hi, Mr. DeMille, and like, doing this. I had just watched it today, and I was just like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot that's like a whole Golden Globe thing. Got to bring that up on Oscar Sunday.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's a kind of a legend when it comes to the era that we're talking about here. We're in 1956. This is a guy who passed away in 1959, and just poured his life into movie making.
Yeah, this was his last film.
Yeah, this is kind of the cap. Yeah, and what a way to kind of go out, I guess. It's really, really sad to kind of say it that way, but it's true. And you would think that this guy, after churning out so many amazing movies, that this is like one of his masterpieces, this 4-hour kind of epic, Bible epic. So just incredible. Of course, he's a part of the, he's one of the producers of the 10 Commandments. So he was a part of the nomination for Best Picture of this movie. Yeah. But he's, he won an honorary award in 1950. He was nominated for Best Director, Greatest Show on Earth. Won another honorary award that year. Greatest Show on Earth, won Best Picture. And then, again, nominated for 10 Commandments. So this awesome guy, and people talk about him constantly. So I want to watch more of his shit.
This is also his second film called The 10 Commandments. He did a film in 1923 about the 10 Commandments.
His own remake, huh?
Yeah, weird. Like that does not happen a lot.
We're just finding this out now. Look at this. Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, it says producer uncredited, and then what did he? 2 hours and 16 minutes. What's going on?
1923. After hearing the story of Moses, the sons of a devout Christian mother go their own ways, while the atheist brother's breaking of the 10 Commandments leads to tragedy. This is crazy.
No Oscar nominations, no wins, nothing.
Yeah.
Movie from 1923. Oh, well, because that's prior to the Oscars even existing. Holy shit. Yeah, we're talking old school here. We're talking almost 100-year-old movie.
Yeah, he is. I know that DeMille was a staunch anti-communist, very religious man, I think, considering the films he did.
Yes, that's what it seems like. Yeah.
And a movie about the circus, which won Best Picture.
Yeah.
And I've heard, before I watched the 10 Commandments, the only thing I'd heard of him is Sunset Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
The famous, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a name that is very synonymous with early Hollywood. Like you said, the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Globes, is named after him. He's the guy. And you can kind of see why with the 10 Commandments. What he was able to do with this film is remarkable. I mean, the visual effects, the production design, it all holds up, which is bonkers. But I think that the smartest thing he did was make this film accessible to everybody. You don't need to be a religious person to enjoy this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's almost 4 hours. And how do you do that? How do you take this thing that is, directly, it's trying to be from the Bible?
Yeah.
Yet it's just an amazing movie. I love that. And it makes me curious, like, why can't this happen more? Because there's so many amazing stories in the Bible that would be terrific for the big screen, like terrific. And they just, like that Noah movie, the Russell Crowe one. Yeah. Yuck.
Terrible. Did you see Ridley Scott's Exodus, Gods and Kings?
I hated it. Yeah.
It's
not hated. I just didn't like it. I just was like, it passed.
It is weird how biblical films have become kind of taboo. I think that it's just, I honestly don't know what it is. Maybe there's just not as big a market anymore. A lot of people have kind of,
well, who's gonna direct it, right? It's not going to be a guy of the level of DeMille, so
we don't really have directors on, we don't have Cecil B. DeMille's or David Lean's. Like, the epic is kind of dead.
Yeah. So, and then on top of that, do you have a guy of that caliber right now working in Hollywood who's religious? Probably not.
Yeah, not in this Hollywood.
No, and that's obviously fine by us, but I would love to see, here's just throwing out an idea. Let's see Ari Aster do like an Adam and Eve. Let's see that. Let's see Eggers take on Jonah and the whale. Like, let's see that stuff happen with these new directors who just have a nice touch and are willing to do their own research for their movies.
The best we've got is Mel Gibson, who, staunch anti-Semite, super Christian. Mel Gibson. Yeah. He's working on his Passion sequel right now.
Yeah. Of course, Passion of the Christ is a movie that you and I kind of talked about, right? And we're like, let's do 10 Commandments. We haven't seen that,
Yeah.
And I guess Mel Gibson is kind of the guy, and maybe he's part of the reason it has a taboo. I don't know.
That is I think Passion of the Christ upset so many people that it's just not worth the effort these days.
Yeah, like, who wants to go down that alley and take on that heat? Yeah.
Because I think that was like, Noah did okay, Exodus did okay, but Passion was a huge success, but so disturbing from what I have not seen it, but I've heard that it's just an upsetting as shit movie, because you're basically just watching Jesus Christ get tortured for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to see that. I mean, I love a story about, Jesus' life. They've done a few indie films, but he's a fascinating gentleman. I'll say that.
That one's brutal. And it was like I'm not going to say forced to watch that, but it was kind of understood, like, oh, I'm a Christian, I should watch this.
And also that mentality of, like, if you didn't enjoy it, you're going to hell. That's the shit I can't tolerate.
Well, yeah, it's horse shit. Yeah. It's not right.
So really want that conversation coming back, with new religious movies of, if you didn't enjoy it, then you're a, atheist or a Satanist and you're going to burn. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need that back in my life. Yeah. So I kind of get it. I don't think we need to get better as a society with accepting each other for our flaws and differences before we can do this again.
Probably. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a good point though. I think there's some truth to that. And it's, we're talking 60 years ago here. So it's just a different ball game. A guy like Cecil is able to be really popular and be dominant. It's just a different time period.
And a big thing we haven't addressed yet is that the Hays Code was so restrictive in what you could do that the Bible was a great place to mine for epic stories that the Hays Code wouldn't touch. Because if it's biblical, then it's okay for everybody. Those were the rules. I mean, this is rated G, and we see like baby murder, a lot of dead children. Like this is that's G for 1956. So I think that's a big part of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, think about some of the films that are, supposedly whatever PG-13 or R or whatever in comparison. Yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous. So that's a great point, that it is a gold mine for people to it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Hey, there's tits in the Bible. Okay. It's, we're allowed to do that.
It is that's what they did in the 50s. They're like, if it's in the Bible, it's okay. 100%. No cuts needed, no interference from the Hays Code, because it's a biblical story. If they interfere, they're going to look like the bad guy. Yeah.
Oh man. I love it. Well, I love this conversation already. Let's move on to Mr. Charlton Heston, who's born in Illinois, but is playing Moses.
Of course. I mean, you don't get any more American icon than Charlton Heston in the 50s. I mean, this dude looked like fucking Superman. This is straight up. And this movie weirdly typecast him as like the biblical savior. I mean, Ben-Hur, the Omega Man, the Planet of the Apes. Like, it just didn't stop.
Yeah. I love it. I am glad to say that he does have the one Oscar win for Ben-Hur.
Yes.
Just kind of an awesome movie that I definitely want to rewatch. He plays, of course, Judah Ben-Hur, and he doesn't have anything else to say really for his Oscar resume. But like you said, kind of a dominant actor of this era.
Yeah, I saw his acceptance speech for Ben-Hur, and I love that all of these speeches are on YouTube. It's fucking great. But
beautiful.
He was he looked like a humble gentleman guy. He was very grateful to have his success. Later went on, became famous as like the face of the NRA, but that's another story. Ben-Hur, I have not gotten to see yet. I think it's, the first big clean sweep for the Oscars. I think it won like all 12 it was up for.
Yeah.
And it's another movie that's, a biblical epic where Charlton Heston plays a slave turned hero, which is weird. But it's a Best Picture winner, so obviously it's going to come up on this show at some point.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for it. The first time I ever saw Heston was Planet of the Apes. And I did not like him. I thought he hammed it up so hard, and I was just like, this is a revered performance? Like, have they seen it in the past 50 years?
I think that all the time when I watch some old stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so nobody's rewatched this. All right.
Clearly. Yeah, clearly. But I always thought, from that, I just assumed, oh, this dude is, ham and cheese. That's what he is. But then I watched the 10 Commandments and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is Charlton Heston. I get it now.
Gosh.
Let my people go. Like, he is very monotone, but you kind of get it. It's the Bible.
Yeah, I love it. He is a great Moses. Who would you want to play Moses today?
Oh, fuck.
Who's a guy who's got the gravitas to pull this off?
Gravitas for Moses. Leo.
Oh man, would be so awesome.
Leo in 20 years.
Yes.
Like,
all right.
yeah.
I'm in. And
then I want Pitt as Ramses.
Oh my God, that would be too much. Let's go ahead and talk about Yul Brynner, who's just unfucking real in this movie. And he also, at the same Academy Awards, at the 29th Academy Awards, he was nominated and won for Best Actor in a Lead Role, The King and I, an awesome movie that I haven't seen in a long time, but I remember liking that one a lot.
I found out that he played the role of the King of Siam over 4,000 times. Like the movie and then Broadway for fucking ever. That was like his role for so long. And I haven't seen it yet, regrettably, but if his performance in The Ten Commandments is anything to go by, dude plays good king.
dude, the dude is a talented motherfucker. Yeah.
Oh, Yul Brynner had such a unique look about him. He just could kind of inhabit any role. First time I ever saw him was Westworld. And Jesus Christ, is he scary in Westworld as the gunslinger robot. And then, the Magnificent Seven. So I've seen a few of his roles, and I love the guy. I especially respect the way he kind of spat in the face of the tobacco industry at the end of his life, where he did a commercial that said, like, cigarettes killed me, I'm dying, don't smoke. And this was in like the 70s.
Yeah, but really ballsy.
Yeah, you did not do that. So thanks to him, cigarettes started getting a bad rap. So I'm happy about that. So I got nothing but respect for Yul Brynner. The dude was a talent, a powerhouse, a good dude from what I hear, and he fucked over big tobacco. So yeah, nothing but love over here.
Yeah. Awesome guy. He's one of the individuals here. I'd say Burt Lancaster is the top of this list, but it's men who have just kind of taken my heart through Oscar Sunday, and Yul is on that list as well. I'm in. I'm like all in. I want to kind of seek out some movies. I want to rewatch The King and I. His eyebrows are stronger than anybody else's in the acting game that I've ever seen. This guy does things that I want actors to do when I'm watching. Mm-hmm. He kind of goes the extra mile. He's not just saying all the things he's saying. His face is always paying attention to what's going on, and it says exactly what I want it to say when I'm watching. Like, oh man, this guy exudes this scene. He is each scene that he's in. He's fucking immersing himself in it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I have nothing but love here. I wish there was honestly, from a kind of like selfish thing, I wish there were more Oscar nominations for him, just so I could kind of pick out movies easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And next up, we got Anne Baxter, who another performer that I just has caught my eye.
Yeah.
Through a specific film, and here we are with Anne Baxter. She's another person I want to bring up because she's another Oscar winner for The King and I. Sorry. I'm still on Yul Brynner. My bad. Yeah, sorry. You can edit this out if you want. My computer's kind of not going back right now.
No, I got you.
Where is she at? Yeah.
Anne Baxter won for 1946's The Razor's Edge and was also nominated for 1950's All About Eve, a film that I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't gotten to yet. Like, All About Eve is, kind of the gem in the 1950s Oscar crown. And I've always wanted to see it. And I know it's going to be good. So what's the holdup?
The holdup with that is, it's tough, with the Best Picture stuff. You got obviously a lot of options.
Yes. And
when you get to a decade, it's like, all right, what are we going to do here? And there's a couple 50s movies that I have circled, that I really want to get to and watch. But it's also about the group, the other four movies. That's why 1981 was so cool.
That's true.
Because you and I got to talk about not just Chariots and kind of talk shit about it, but we got to really throw love at On Golden Pond, Reds, Atlantic City and fucking Indiana Jones. So that was a blast. And All About Eve will have its day. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. Now, The Razor's Edge would be a really fun episode because, you know, you got a Best Supporting Actress win off of that. You know, we like doing stuff like that, you know, kind of taking a specific win or specific nomination and doing an episode off that. You know, we did Ingrid Bergman Gaslight, you know, so we're like, let's go ahead and kind of attack her first win. So I love doing that kind of stuff.
For sure. And Anne Baxter is such a duplicitous character in the Ten Commandments. At first you think, you know, she's the, you know, the noble wannabe queen who's going to get him out of this, but she turns into such a selfish monster. It's a very layered performance, and I was taken by her as well.
Yeah, I think she's someone we'll probably bring up just because of the show again, you know, and we'll be like, oh yeah, we talked about the Ten Commandments. That's I love when that shit happens. You kind of build a respect and a knowledge about each performer and each individual.
A canon. We got a podcast canon going here.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we want. Now, the next guy, my computer's back, is cinematographer Loyal Griggs.
Yeah.
Now, this movie depends a lot on how we are not fooled, but how we are kind of distracted by the lighting, distracted by just simple, you know, editing techniques, and well, not at that time, not simple at all. Very, very fascinating to see how this movie kind of the seams of it, you know, and our guy here, Loyal Griggs, is, I would say, pretty fucking important during this 3 hour and 40-minute movie.
Yeah, if this film, you know, looks like it's on a soundstage, I'm gonna fall asleep. I mean, this, you know, you need a realistic environment to kind of get drawn into, and the way that he films this really kind of makes it a character-driven story, which is really impressive for a biblical parable to be driven by characters. You know, Moses is a flawed hero, and that's really cool. I love that, you know, to humanize these larger than life characters in 1956. The cinematography goes a long way towards that, and I don't think a lot of people get that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And he's a guy who was, you know, kind of busy with the Academy Awards. He won Best Cinematography in 1954 for the movie Shane. Was nominated here for the Ten Commandments, and was also nominated for The Greatest Story Ever Told, 1965, and also In Harm's Way, 1965. So pretty awesome stuff here from this guy. And these are the names that I've kind of found like just kind of like some pride in when you do this legwork and you kind of do the little research that it takes to just kind of learn these guys' names and learn what they're all about and look at their resume. I think it's really rewarding in the long run, and you can kind of pinpoint individuals and names and people who directly touched the film you're watching and the film that you like or dislike. And that is what it's all about, is these people coming together for a piece of art, right? That's what we love about movies. And so it's very rewarding to not just talk about the Humphrey Bogarts, you know, and the Cary Grants and the Ingrid Bergmans and the Charlton Hestons. It's fun to talk about the Loyal Griggs. It's fun to talk about these cats. I think they mean a lot to how much we care about the movie, even if we don't know it.
Yeah, it's only been, you know, since we've done Oscar Sunday that I've really started paying attention to the names of cinematographers. And I love that, you know, it's a whole new piece of movie making to fan out about. And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. How can you not be grateful for something like that? You know what I mean? And how can you not be grateful for Elmer Bernstein?
Oh boy.
This man, he passed away in 2004. And I remember my dad being like, whoa, you know, kind of like that guy was so busy, you know. I was really young, so I had no idea who he was talking about, but now here I am, you know, kind of doing my own research as a 26-year-old, and I just this guy's resume is fucking crazy. And then you're like, oh, let's see what's going on Oscar wise. Holy shit. This man has a lot happening. So let's go down the line here. These are pretty much all for music and score, song, everything here has to do with music. And he's nominated for Man with the Golden Arm, The Magnificent Seven, Summer and Smoke, To Kill a Mockingbird, Walk on the Wild Side, Return of the Seven, Hawaii, Thoroughly Modern Millie, True Grit, Gold, Trading Places, The Age of Innocence, and Far from Heaven. Good God.
1956 to 2003. That's a hell of a range. Holy shit.
Yeah. And, these are, all of them are just nominations except for Thoroughly Modern Millie. He won for Best Original Score. Just crazy resume when it comes to the Oscars, You're basically looking at his IMDb here, It's nuts.
Yeah. I need to point out that in his IMDb page, he did the music for Ghostbusters.
Yeah. No, yeah. Go to his 80s stuff. It's like, what the fuck?
I bought that soundtrack on vinyl today.
Whoa. How about that?
I didn't even know, but his score is on that soundtrack.
Did you know that he was behind the music in the Ten Commandments?
No, I hadn't made that connection. I knew he did Ten Commandments, but I didn't know he did Ghostbusters.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy, man.
Oh, that's cool.
Jesus Christ. If you you and I love this stuff and kind of eat it up. If you go on IMDb and look up Elmer Bernstein, it'll say music department, 180 credits.
Jesus Christ. He's conducted the Oscars a few times.
Gangs of New York. You could just pick any decade and there's some kind of gold there. Here's Cape Fear, here's The Grifters, My Left Foot, Three Amigos, Lost in Yonkers, Innocent Blood. There's Ghostbusters, Trading Places again, Heavy Metal, Airplane, Serpico. Yeah. Come on. What do you want from the guy?
This is amazing.
He's one of the guys that when I was just, every week I try to do this. I'll try to look at the movie that we're doing and see what kind of individuals we have. What'd you find?
He did the score for The Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Disneys as a child. Holy shit. How am I not intimately familiar with this guy?
This is why we do what we do, my man, and you fall in love with these people. And with all that said, what Elmer Bernstein's doing in the Ten Commandments is fucking astonishing. It's a huge score. I've been listening to on Spotify all day, and I was at work today, because we're recording this late Saturday night. So, today was, I work at a grocery store, so it was just like wildly busy day before Easter because we're closed here. As you're listening to this, we're closed today where I work. So I'm not kidding you. I went on a couple breaks and I was just fucking listening to the score, hanging out, get a little food, and it helped me get through the day. Jesus Christ, I love this score. I love it so much, and he's the top name. Him and Yul Brynner are the two guys that I'm like, all right, I got you marked, motherfucker. I know who you are. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, the music in this film is large. I mean, it is a grandiose. It's an epic. So you have an epic movie, you're going to have epic music. And Elmer Bernstein does not disappoint. He really, relays the majesty of God. It's perfect. He was perfect for this score. And I had no idea how much this dude has been silently influencing a lot of the films I've loved for a very long time. So that's just great.
Incredible stuff. Yeah. Connections. I think you'll love this, Ann Bouchins. She's the head film editor here on the Ten Commandments, and she was nominated for Best Film Editing. She was also nominated in 1934 for Cleopatra, She won the Oscar for Northwest Mounted Police, 1940, and she was also nominated for the Greatest Show on Earth. Now, she had a kind of partnership with Cecil, and obviously, and those things are pretty fucking important. This woman has this pretty steady career here, and is Oscar nominated, through 3 decades, and you gotta love seeing that in these earlier years, whether it be because she was working with Cecil or not. You love to see representation, and you love to see that the head film editor and the person who is really credited with everything on that front is a woman, just dominating, just kind of crushing her role. You and I have obviously talked about the cinematography and the direction itself. That these things kind of marry together, right? Yeah. And without one, you don't have the other, and without one or the other, you don't have the film that we're talking about, that you and I are so fond of. Had to shout her out, I think, along with all these other people.
Of course. I remember reading somewhere that a lot of film editors are women.
That's the best occupation for a woman to kind of go into. That's like historically, that's definitely accurate.
Yeah, because directors most of the time throughout cinematic history traditionally has been a very male, masculine dominant role, and then the film editor's there to clean everything up, makes it look, make a movie essentially. That's where it happens.
Yes.
In the editing room, taking 20 plus hours of footage and making it into a coherent narrative that somebody wants to sit down and watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, props. Nothing but props.
Hell yeah, man. Last person before we. Well, it's 2 people really, because they kind of have worked together and gotten Oscar nominations together while working. Before we'll talk about the 20th Academy Awards a bit, and then we'll go ahead and give our awards out soon. This is the art directors, Hal Pereira and Walter H. Tyler. Oh man. Don't you think, like, when you're watching the 10 Commandments, is just an attack on the senses? You got the variation of color, and then you combine it with kind of how much nature is involved with this movie, and how much spiritual, faith and belief, and it's kind of incredible what they pulled off in this department. I don't know how a movie like this can still stand today the way it does. I just am very, very impressed with these kind of behind the scenes jobs.
Well, and DeMille filmed at least part of it on location in Egypt, which I assume that did not happen very much, considering the sound stages of old Hollywood. And you add on an impressive production design to actual Egyptian locations, and you're gonna have a film that wants to be as amazing as possible. Color film was considerably expensive back then. It was not, traditionally used except in big budget productions. And The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind kind of set the standard for that. But going forward, there weren't a lot of color films between the 30s and the 50s. Films like this needed to be in color. You need to experience this film in all, like you said, an attack on the senses. If it's not color, it doesn't do that. And yeah, I think that a lot of heart and soul went into every aspect of this one. You can feel that this was not something they cranked out over a couple weeks on backlot. This was planned years in advance. This was a labor of love, and it still feels like that.
Yeah. 100%. Wait until you hear all of this shit. We got Hal Pereira. This is just going down his Oscar nominations. We got Carrie, 1952, Roman Holiday, 1953, Red Garters, 1954, Sabrina, 1954, The Country Girl, 1954, To Catch a Thief, 1955, The Rose Tattoo, 1955, The 10 Commandments, 1956, The Proud and Profane, 1956, Funny Face, 1957, Vertigo, 1958, Career, 1959, It Started in Naples, 1960, Visit to a Small Planet, 1960, Summer and Smoke, 1961, Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961. The Pigeon That Took Rome, 1962. Come Blow Your Horn, 1963. Love with the Proper Stranger, 1963. HUD, 1963. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. The Slender Thread, 1965. And The Oscar, 1966. Jesus.
There is a film that's just called The Oscar, and it's about the Academy Award for Best Actor. That is hilarious.
I love it. You got to love that.
God, and I thought La La Land was a stroke fest. Holy hell.
Yeah. Again, all of these are nominations except for one, The Rose Tattoo. The only win here for Hal Pereira. Incredible. Just a line of nominations, and clearly very respected when it comes to the award, circuit. So there's some of these individuals, man, that worked on this movie. It's fucking nuts.
I think, Cecil B. DeMille wanted the A-team. He wanted the best people he could get at that time to make this giant epic that ended up being his swan song. I think that's amazing that this was the film he went out with. Holy hell, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as we kind of dive into how this movie was, the people that helped make it and the people that shine in it, in front of the camera and behind the camera, it just totally makes sense, right? That, like you said, it's just an A team, an all-star team, just coming and they're all batting 1,000. They all came to show up and play, and I love it. I love going down the line of these people, especially when we get a movie like this that's a bit older, and you and I just kind of have these revelations about how cool these connections are.
Well, and it's important, and I love that you do this. Is you kind of treat Best Picture as important as, Best Art Direction. They all count. All the categories are important, and everyone who is part of making this film Oscar worthy deserves to be shouted out, and that's fantastic. I love that you do that.
Yeah, I think it's right. And I also think that you and I are big on giving love to people that we think should have stuff,
Yeah.
I'll never forget the In Bruges episode. We're both like, Colin Farrell and Mr. Gleason, these guys are killers. They're killer, character actors, and we would love for them to get some gold. So yeah, we're always going to talk about that because we do think it matters. We think context matters. We think, financially shit has proven to matter. Yeah. If a movie wins Best Picture and then it's re-released in theaters, it makes more money. Like, that shit matters. It does. Money ultimately matters in this game, that we love so much, and things have to get kind of a momentum and get on a cycle and get people involved. And I'm glad I'm kind of in the fan group of the 10 Commandments, and I have all these branches now that I want to kind of attack.
Yeah, I bought this movie so we could do this because I was,
dude, and it's beautiful. The Blu-ray 2-disc, pristine.
Dear Lord, it looks gorgeous, and I'm happy I own it. I don't want to get rid of it. I'm glad it's in my collection. I enjoyed the movie, and I will watch this again probably next Easter.
Dude, if you want to make that, we should both make that just a tradition. Yeah, eat for Easter. Watch the 10 Commandments.
I'm down.
It's great.
It's a good watch.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Well, I mentioned earlier that the 10 Commandments itself, and of course we've mentioned them here, it has 7 total nominations. And yes, we kind of have to do this no matter what. We're going to kind of go down the line of what it was nominated for, what it won, and just kind of have a little discussion here about the 29th Academy Awards. Now, we were here just 2 weeks ago with La Strada, which is so funny because, La Strada is a 1954 film, and all these other American movies are, 1956 usually. And it's just so silly stuff that happens with the Oscars. We talked about on that episode how we both really want to, watch Ingrid Bergman do anything. So Anastasia is a movie that we're like very keen on. And I remember doing that. I remember kind of talking about this stuff, and I'm kind of excited to go back into it. So, so quickly with a different perspective.
Absolutely, man. Of course.
Oh yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Let's, because we got quite a few technical things. Let's save the win for last, I guess.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think is a good technical one to start with?
Let's start with film editing.
Okay.
All right. So we have The Brave One, Giant, Somebody Up There Likes Me, The 10 Commandments, and The Winner, Around the World in 80 Days. I haven't seen any of these films. It's the 50s. We're still working our way through them. But The 10 Commandments, we've already spoken about how well edited we think this thing is, and I stand by that.
Yeah. I'm basically in the same boat. One day, of course, we'll do Around the World in 80 Days as its own episode. But I really want to see Giant. There's some interesting kind of Oscar stuff there, and then just from looking at kind of it's this Western drama, like kind of epic Western drama. I'm kind of down. I want to try it out. Seems like it has some interesting individuals.
Well, James Dean is he's waiting for us for an Oscar.
Exactly. Yeah.
His whole story is so damn
posthumous.
Tragic.
Yeah, and you got the posthumous nomination here. So yeah, super fascinating stuff.
Hell yeah. Best sound recording.
Okay.
We have The Brave One, The Eddie Dukin Story, Friendly Persuasion, The 10 Commandments, and The Winner, The King and I. I don't have really much to say here.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be for these. We've been down this road. This is how it is. I love picking out movies that I want to see. We did a awesome episode on 1952's High Noon, and you and I are clearly big Gary Cooper fans. So Friendly Persuasion is the one I have circled right here.
Very nice. I'm still, The King and I has been calling my name for a long time. My grandma is a huge Rodgers and Hammerstein's fan, has this box set she's been trying to get me into. I finally caved about a few months ago and watched The Sound of Music. And I'm sure that the rest of those are waiting for me. Oklahoma, South Pacific, and of course, The King and I.
Yes. Classics.
My grandma always asks me, it's like, what are you guys doing on Oscar Sunday next week? Because we tackle older films that she, grew up with and loves. So she loves getting to kind of be there when I watch these for the first time. And that's a touching. I know she's listening.
Hell yeah.
Hi.
No, that's the best is if someone who's contributed to your love for something just kind of relates or likes whatever it is that you're doing with that passion. So 100%. I remember vividly when I told my mom and dad, I was like, hey, we're doing Places in the Heart on Oscar Sunday, and I've never seen it. And they were like, oh, I love that movie, and yeah. I like that shit. Yeah, for sure. That's really cool when, yeah, someone you care about their opinion, right? You care about what they say, what they care about movies, and when it's kind of goes back and forth. It's a cool thing. It's a beautiful thing.
The big one so far that my grandparents were so excited to hear is when we did The Apartment.
Well, yeah, that's just a great movie. Yeah,
that was fun. They told me they were listening to it on their road trip, and they were just like, "This is so cool," and it was a nice moment.
Yeah, I have huge amount of honor to be able to talk about a lot of these movies. Right? Is to me, I'm just grateful to be able to first off to be able to watch shit that I watch, the amount of stuff I get to consume. I feel really fortunate to be able to be in that place in my life where I can just kind of not worry and chill with my girlfriend, with my daughter, and just watch stuff. Really grateful for those moments, Yeah. And I take it super seriously, how much I love watching the stuff that we talk about. And it's an opportunity to do movies like The Apartment and do stuff right here that we haven't seen, and then of course throw in Bruges and Fight Club. It's a place we can kind of balance movies that are home to us and movies that help us grow.
Oh hell yeah, well said, man. Best costume design, color, and I fucking hate that they split for years into color and black and white film. Like, so unnecessary. And so many films got nominated that probably did not deserve to be nominated. And God, one step forward, two steps back.
Yep. Basically.
Around the World in 80 Days, Giant, The Ten Commandments, War and Peace, and the winner, The King and I. And I've seen, some stills from The King and I, and that's probably taken costume design.
Yeah. Wicked. Yeah. But, Ten Commandments has its argument, it's just stunning. And you got the amount of colors and all the clothing is so so breathtaking. And The King and I, there's not really an argument there. Again, I want to see Giant, and I know War and Peace is a monster. So
that we talked about that one.
Yeah, I want to watch it, man. I really do. I know it's a beast, but I want to watch it. Now, over here, costume design, black and white. I see a movie we've talked about before.
Oh, hello,
Seven Samurai. We brought that up on the Rashomon episode. I don't even remember what number that was. 20 something. I don't know. Feels like forever, really.
Yeah.
I think it was episode 24, if I had to guess. I feel like it was right around Kramer vs. Kramer, but I don't know.
I remember when I first started the Filmgazm podcast, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be able to remember all of these by number. It's just I love this so much. Of course I'll be able to do that. We're 130 in. I don't remember what the hell 128 was. And that was 3 weeks ago. I don't remember what you tell me, like 47. I don't fucking know. It's ridiculous. It's impossible. Once you hit like 20, don't even bother trying.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Yeah, I can recall the ones that we've just done. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, man. But I love when that happens, though. It gets you inspired to watch more. You're like, okay, well, I like that feeling of I do have an opinion about Seven Samurai. Well, I want an opinion about Giant, and I want an opinion about War and Peace and The King and I and Around the World in 80 Days. So that's the game.
I mean, thanks to the sneak preview, I have now seen the longest film I've ever seen, and that was the Snyder Cut of Justice League, 4 hours and 2 minutes long. That is now the longest film I've ever seen. So knowing this show, that's going to get topped. But we'll see.
No, I don't. This is about as long. I really don't intend on doing. I want to see War and Peace for me. I've read a lot of cool things about it. I want to, but I think this show. I mean, obviously, this movie we're both kind of like big on, and we really, really dig. But I think it's the best when we find, a real clean cut, just awesome 2 hour movie that just kind of gets us going. This is rare. It's rare that a 3 hour and 40-minute movie really keeps you on your toes like this.
Oh yeah. And on the opposite side, I love finding films that are considered classics that we both just fucking hated. Like, didn't just drag it through the mud for a couple hours. I love that. That's always fun.
Oh yeah. Anytime you can just shit talk an Oscar nominated movie, it's great. Good fun. Good clean fun. We've had our fair share here. I think the most fun was shout out to The Apartment again. When we're just both kind of just dismissive of Sons and Lovers and Sundowners. We were like, whatever.
Yeah, we spent most of the conversation on Elmer Gantry, I think.
Yeah, Elmer Gantry in The Apartment is definitely the battle of 1960. The other movies have no chance. That's for sure. And that's how we felt that entire episode.
Good times. Best art direction, color. We have Around the World in 80 Days, Giant, Lust for Life, The Ten Commandments, and the winner, The King and I. Lust for Life is a biopic of Vincent van Gogh, where Kirk Douglas plays him. So, of course, I would like to see that very much.
Yeah, it sounds super fascinating. There's quite a few movies from this ceremony that are on my my never-ending list, right? The watch list that is just always growing and never dwindles.
Yeah, there's a movie here I just noticed in Best Cinematography Black and White called The Bad Seed. I remember finding out about that when I was a kid. My dad had this book, Clive Barker's A to Z of Horror. And
okay.
That movie was in that book. The Bad Seed. It's a movie about a child who's also like a murderer or something. I'm pretty sure that's what that's about.
Okay, hell yeah. I mean, yeah, American psychological thriller with elements of melodrama and film noir. Yeah, sign me up. Holy shit.
Evil Child. Yep. The MPAA did not allow for crime to pay. So yeah, hell yeah. All right, I'm throwing that in the book.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, save that one for me, man. I this movie sounds really cool.
Bad Seed. That's awesome.
Yeah, the play is adapted from John Lee Martin's screenplay. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there's a lot going on with that one. Nice 2-hour movie.
I want to see a film about a child serial killer in the 50s.
Yeah, the poster is frightening.
Yeah, something about staring children, which you're gonna have to deal with eventually. That'll be fun.
Willow, my daughter Willow, she usually wakes me up. She'll come to my side of the bed here in our room. She'll just fucking barge in, and like she owns the place. And she comes up and just like starts, she's like, water, because she wants water, and then I open my eyes and she's just staring at me, just eyes as big as they can be, and like, oh hey, I guess the day's starting. All right. I don't need a fucking alarm clock anymore,
I was curious. I asked when my dad was here, I asked him, hey, when I was a kid, like when I was young, did I ever say any like creepy shit to you guys? And my dad, without skipping a beat, goes, no, but you said a lot of dumb shit. And I just couldn't help but laugh. I was like, yeah, that's like me.
Thanks, Dad. Yeah. Well, you said a lot of useless shit. Well, thanks.
It's like, okay.
Oh, that's really funny though. Yeah.
Best cinematography color. We have the Eddie Dukin story, The King and I, 10 Commandments, War and Peace, and The Winter Around the World in 80 Days. And that film keeps coming up. I've heard about that for a while. I've been reluctant to watch it because I've heard that it's one of those films that didn't deserve Best Picture. But I will be the judge of that.
Yeah, right. You always got to have that opinion for yourself. I think I think Around the World in 80 Days and The King and I will be movies that we'll talk heavily about when we get to do the showdown.
I think so too. Speaking of Best Picture, we have Friendly Persuasion, Giant, The King and I, The 10 Commandments, and The Winter Around the World in 80 Days.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, these are all films that I am very curious about.
Same. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this one. With these Best Picture showdowns, I'm like, can we just do them every week? But then that would be so taxing. Oh my God, to watch at least 5 movies every week just for this show.
Yeah. I've got to keep up with a couple other podcasts.
Yeah. I can't even do it. And I'm just doing this. Yeah. No. The space between the Best Picture showdowns provides time to watch all the movies and really get a feel for them. Like next week, we're going to have a lot of fun, and you and I have been doing our legwork for it. So I like that.
Oh, hell yeah. So the 10 Commandments did win for Best Special Effects. It was only up against Forbidden Planet. And
perfect.
Yeah, between those two movies, 100% the 10 Commandments wins.
Hell yeah. 10 Commandments. That's the win it gets. What do you think it could have won? Even though we haven't seen a lot of these movies from this ceremony, what else do you think it could have won?
I can't believe DeMille is not up for director.
I think that's kind of crazy.
Assumed that's a shoo-in, but nope. As far as acting awards go, I don't know. I mean, they're good, but are they Oscar worthy?
It's tough, yeah.
I don't think so. I think the things it was up for make sense. Director is the big one.
Yeah. I think I can get down with that. I think 7 nominations is good. It's really solid. It's a good haul. And if it were to get another and get a win, I think DeMille is someone you would talk about.
Yes, indeed.
Hell yeah, man.
There you go.
Yeah, it's super fun. One of the best things about going through these is just, again, just adding shit to your never ending watch list and kind of putting them into your subconscious. So I have a lot of fun with that, but I'm excited for this, man. Clearly we have a liking for this movie, and that liking has grown for me over this episode. So let's do some fucking awards. We got the Quentin Tarantino award for best line or best quote. We got the Ennio Morricone award for best music moment, which Jesus Christ, I had a hard time because Mr. Bernstein is tearing it up. We have the Philip Seymour Hoffman award for the best performance of the movie. And then we have the Roger Deakins for the best scene or best moment. So I'll let you take it away with your Tarantino, Connor.
This was interesting. The dialogue in this film is very stilted because it is, biblical. So it's hard to find a really profound line, because I like to go a little bit more profound when I pick this one. And there was one line that stuck with me because it just kept making me think. And it was pretty early on in the film. It's when Yoshabel is stuck under the block, and the slave drivers are just like, let her die. And Joshua jumps on the slave driver and is like, no, tries to free her. And I forget her name. Lilia goes to Moses and is like, my prince, please help me. And Moses is like, what seems to be the problem here? So that's just how Heston talks. And he tells Joshua, says, like, they were going to let her die, but I jumped on him to save her. And he's like, the penalty is death. He's like, yes. And he's like, you would die for a slave? And Joshua says, God made men, men made slaves. And I love that to death, because it's a concept that we never really got away from. We're still talking about this. We're still determining who on this world is worth saving when it should be everybody. And I had that in my head the entirety of the runtime and really up to now. And for such a small little bit of dialogue, I was just really blown away that it got into my head like that.
Yeah. Oh man. I know exactly what moment you're talking about. Definitely within that kind of first hour, and you're just totally immersed into this world that's been created in front of you. And then with pieces of dialogue like that you picked out, it raises it to another level of, this isn't just a Bible story, religious story. This is like, that like you said, that is so relatable. That is so timeless. That kind of philosophy. It's very dark, Yeah, I love that. Love that you picked that. I definitely thought about that moment, which is cool. I think a lot of the moments that you and I gravitate towards with this movie are similar.
Yeah.
For me, it was another pretty big, kind of like, whoa, like holy shit moment of, this is what's going on, and Moses is just fucking being honest here. It's when he's talking to Charlton Heston's. Moses is talking to Sephora. I've heard it pronounced both ways by people who like the Bible, or that's such a weird way of putting it, by Christians. I've heard it pronounced both ways, but Moses is talking to her, and she's kind of challenging him, like, why are you doing what you're doing right now? And he basically, is like, this is what I'm doing, even if I look crazy, like this is what's going on. And he says, to know that he is, and if he is, to know why he has not heard the cries of slaves in bondage. And that, man, that made me think of a lot of things. And it's one of the fundamental things of having faith. When you have faith in something, that's like live. It's like a actual fireball that's like inside of you, because you have to keep it lit the whole time. No one else is gonna like do that for you, So if you're really trying to chase God and try to be a disciple of Jesus, as someone who's following the Bible, Moses is breaking it down to its like most human layer, where he's like, I want to know why he hasn't helped these people.
Yeah.
And that's like a thought that anyone who believes in God, or anyone who has faith, And I remember having moments where I would think this, like, why does it feel like you're not answering me? Why does it feel like you're not answering this? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why is this evil happening? And wanting these answers, and then it all comes back to faith. And like, that's what Moses has. So it just ultimately doesn't matter what Moses says. He has this amazing amount of faith that just carries him through each day.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a fascinating piece of the movie, where he's just, this is where I'm at in my life now.
Yeah.
There is no turning back, right? And we've seen that so many times in movies, but this is so serious. This is talking about, life, death, heaven, hell, all the above. It's like all the big, massive questions you can have about faith and religion. Like, he's kind of breaking it down, and I love that. A rapper that I'm not going to say I like now, but there was a time I liked him, was Chance the Rapper. I thought he had a couple cool albums earlier on, but he had a song that really hit me as a kid that I thought about with this movie. One of the lines was, why does God phone die every time that I call on him? And it made me think of this, like this exact thing. Like, you're just kind of like, I'm still human and I'm weak and I need your help and I need answers. But you're like not gonna get them. You like have to keep the fire going yourself. And it's just such a never-ending battle, and Charlton Heston does such a good job of making this so believable that this character is just on this journey that none of us can really fathom.
Yeah. I mean, he's Moses. That's his name. That's who he is. And I love that this film deals with Moses having a bit of a crisis of like, I want to believe, but what am I believing in if he allows my people to suffer like this?
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite shows is Supernatural. I've talked about it a lot. And the way that show approached God was maybe the smartest I've ever seen anything in pop culture do. He first kind of is talked about in season 5. Season 4 is when angels show up. Season 5 is when the devil shows up. So with the angels and the devil, people are clearly thinking, well, when's God showing up to lead the fight? And Castiel, the angel we kind of get to know over the course of the show, is a devout, he's an angel. He's devout. He's faithful. He has trust in the plan. But he rebels and starts thinking, what is my purpose if God won't fight with me? Why am I here? And we don't actually meet God physically till season 11. And at that point, that's when it gets weird, because like God's sister escapes from lockup and is like going to take over the world. It's a weird show, but I love it. And God's the only one powerful enough to stop this thing. And he shows up and is like, I'm here, let's fight. And Dean, the brother of the two brothers who, Sam and Dean, Dean's like, no, I want answers. We've suffered so much. We've lost so much. This world has lost so much. Where the hell have you been? And to have that to see that confrontation is weird. To see somebody, a human being, just tell God, like, where the fuck were you? That's so powerful. And that show doesn't get enough credit for that, because God, like, they call him Chuck, but God is like, I know I messed up. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready to deal with this. Like, God is very much like he didn't know what he was getting into when he created mankind, and it scared him a little. And of course, later on, that's revealed to be complete shit, and he's crazy. But my point stands that it's an emotional scene, and I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love when things remind you of other pop culture, and especially this specific thing, talking about a man confronting God. Whoa.
Personally in my own life, I've never had faith, simply because I can't believe in something that would let bad things happen. I can't believe in a deity that, if he exists, just doesn't fucking care. And that is, I can't balance that. And I wish I could. I wish I could believe in something bigger than myself, but I can't. And I don't think I ever will.
That's fascinating. I think now, the thing that I believe in is that I don't know anything, right? That Uh, I'm just a person, right? And I do think that there's something to being able to be okay with that and realizing that, all right, well, I think while I'm here, that the shit I do does matter. The way I carry myself does matter. So why not be kind and be nice? And I don't think that's good enough for people. They need like they need a whole plan of what's going to happen. And I think you and I are just in a different. The way we operate is very much like, well, let's see what happens. Let's go. Let's just kind of, if we all just kind of pull our weight, do our part here, then what do we have to complain about? Yeah. That's just not enough for people. Like so many people are so greedy and need reasons and answers and this and that. That's just that I've in my own life, maybe not for everybody, but I found in my own life that doesn't lead you very far. It will just kind of confuse you. I think searching constantly for answers it's just a very tough way to live.
Well, and I think that there are no answers. I think that
the
way exactly. The world, like anybody who claims they know the answers are trying to sell you something. Nobody on this planet. Nobody on this planet, no church, no religion, no cult leader, no spiritualist, nobody alive and nobody who has ever lived knows what happens next. And we need to, I think, if we came to terms with that, I think life would be a lot simpler. I think if we just realized nobody has the answers, we're all going to die and just accept it, then we can, focus on enjoying it, focus on, doing the right thing because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you did the right thing. I hate people who say, if I fill out this checklist, God will let me in the pearly gates. That's not why you should be a good person. You should be a good person because it's the right thing to do. And
because it matters. It matters. People watch you. If you're an adult, young people watch you. If you're a parent, your kids watch you. So fucking buck up and be a good person. Like, cause if I'm gonna sit here and question every little damn thing, I'm going to get nowhere. I'm going to get nowhere. But what does last is caring about other people, investing your time into other people, committing to a friendship like you and I have. Doing those things matters because then you and I can teach our kids. This is how you do. This is how you fucking, you enjoy life. You get the fucking marrow out of it, like suck that shit out. And that's the way it kind of just should be. And if you are a good example, then people will follow. But I mean, this conversation can go on forever, right? I love when movies do this to my mind. And then I love when it happens to somebody else. And then we talk about it. And we knew that was coming here at the 10 Commandments on Easter.
Yeah.
And, I'm really glad we can open up and talk about this kind of stuff for sure.
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's no way we could do this film if we didn't have an understanding, like we need to, it's a film that's going to, create some interesting dialogues. And it certainly has already. It's made me kind of confront, my lack of faith and kind of figure out like why and realize that, I was raised with, a basic code of, don't be a dick. And that's enough. It's really that easy.
Yeah. No respect, kidding. Look at you. Yeah.
To me, respect is earned and don't be an asshole. Those are my 2 commandments.
The 2 commandments. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. I love it. Well, what's your, Ennio Morricone, because this is, to me, the most difficult one to choose.
I knew exactly what it was going to be before going in because I knew that the moment was going to be grandiose, and it is the parting of the Red Sea.
Okay.
And the Pillar of Fire. Those 2 moments, it's just such a bold and, fantastic bit of score from Bernstein, and just seeing Ramses, blocked by God himself is just so nice. And, Moses... The parting of the sea still looks fucking cool. And that's amazing. I was expecting that to look goofy as hell, but I was mesmerized.
Hey, unbelievable stuff. Yeah, I was blown away by that bit of the movie. I chose the piece of score. It's called "I Am That I Am," and it's when Moses goes to the burning bush, and it gets gritty. It gets like, oh boy, this is the man God stuff we're talking about. This is man and higher power meeting. A meeting of the minds, and there's nothing cooler than that. On the movie screen, just nothing cooler to me. And the piece of score, this is the one I listen to just over and over and over. It's like 4 minutes long. Just beautiful stuff. The whole thing's on Spotify. I highly suggest anybody who's listening to just dive into that.
That's great. Yeah, I love Moses' conversations with God. I mean, it really, God is doesn't get corporeal form. It's hard to kind of conceptualize God. I like that the movie does what it does. I'm sure, I kept thinking about that movie, Hail Caesar, the Coen brothers movie, where the board members are talking about, well, how should we show God? And the Jews are like, well, God has no form. And it's just, they're going back and forth about it. I bet you 100% that's exactly what happened when they made this.
Yeah.
How should we show God? Well, we can't show God. Like, just back and forthing it. But yeah, fantastic scenes for sure.
Love it. One of our favorite moments of Oscar Sunday, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. Who do you got?
I just had to go with my gut, and I knew, it was Charlton Heston. Just to see, for me, seeing him as George in Planet of the Apes and then seeing him as Moses showed me two very different sides of this man. And I didn't know he had it in him to actually hold my attention like that. And I was impressed. I think the transformation from Prince of Egypt to God's messenger is quite an incredible and believable hero's journey. And Heston's a big part of that. And yeah, he's my choice.
Yeah. I went Yul Brynner. I thought they were both great, but Yul just kind of shattered me. There is a bit of dialogue I almost chose, but it's just like too nasty and too dark. It's when he's you will be my wife and you will come to me and you're like, good God, he's scary. That moment in the movie, I was like, Ramses is full on evil in this movie. Here we go. It's that bit of dialogue is brutal. The way he talks to women, the way it talks to everybody, really. Jesus.
What blew my mind is that for me personally, I saw so much of the Count of Monte Cristo in this movie. Just, brothers turned against each other, jealousy, and, over a woman coming back for, in his own way, revenge. And it reminded me that so many stories, you can find their origins in the Bible. As a book I've admittedly never read, but I don't plan to either. But
it's long.
I'll just watch the 10 Commandments and just kind of pick it up along the way. But it is cool to kind of notice that. And Yul Brynner is fantastic in this. To me, what won out with Heston is that for Ramses, there's no real evolution.
No,
he's a
you're
prick
right.
at the beginning, and he's a prick at the end. Moses starts out as, kind of a Hercules-like arrogant jerk. Like, he's not a terrible person, but he is, the Prince of Egypt. And then at the end of this, he's, completely wiped himself of sin and is like really creating a new world for the slaves. And you believe it. But again, Ramses is a hard character to give like a, emotional arc to, because he's such a bastard.
That's the whole thing. And that character, well, that person, however you look at it, as a kid, and still now, but as a kid, when I didn't know who Ralph Fiennes was, and then I heard him do the Ramses voice on Prince of Egypt, I was like, there's just nothing more frightening to me than that particular like voice performance. I think it is just one of the best. And I quite frankly, now I cannot wait to do that movie on this show, especially after doing this.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. That was, one of DreamWorks was doing kind of like religious based films. They did that. They did Joseph King of Dreams, and The Road to El Dorado is kind of this new thing. Didn't work out financially, regrettably, but I would very much like to see The Prince of Egypt.
It's awesome. I think you'll really dig it. Yeah.
One thing that I found was interesting about this movie, and I figured we couldn't not talk about this, is the fact that everyone in this is so good, and the film is so broad, like so giant and epic, that you don't really notice that everyone in Egypt is white. Like just everybody, except for the Ethiopians, which honestly surprised me more than anything. I was expecting full-blown blackface. And then I'm like, whoa, black actors in the 50s? This is weird. So, yeah, just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, definitely. In the animated movie, at least the characters are, they're the cartoons. They're not all white, so at least they have that going for them. But the voices are all white people. Yeah, that's a whole issue in itself, huh? Is how bad it sucks that in the 50s, the lack of opportunity for people to get a chance to be in a movie like this is just sad.
But here's the thing. In 2014, when Ridley Scott did it, they're like whiter.
I know.
Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they didn't even fucking try. Yeah.
It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's Egypt. Come on.
Yeah. Seriously, man. And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I've been to Egypt or something, but like, I mean, come on, like, you don't have to be a fucking historian. Just this is a joke. This is worse than Daniel Craig's effort in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo at doing a Swedish accent. It's that bad.
One of my favorite comedians is a Scottish kid named Daniel Sloss.
Oh, I've seen him. Okay, yeah.
He talked about the idea that, if Jesus was white, that would have been the miracle. It would have been the whitest, like the only white thing for hundreds of miles. And that's the only thing everyone would have been talking about.
Like, yeah. 100%.
Middle East. He's not white.
No. I have a buddy who has a t-shirt. I've seen it other places, but one of my buddies, I remember this is the first time I saw it. It's like, Jesus is definitely a woman,
Oh, that's fantastic.
Like, and then, it's just like, just shit to make you think, like, how the fuck do you know it's a white guy with long brown hair?
I can tell you, with 100% certainty, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. We have no idea.
No. We know for sure that if Jesus existed, he was a Middle Eastern looking fella.
Yeah, and probably had some darker brown skin. Yeah, probably. If that's the case.
There are Americans out there, and it's a sad fact of life, that cannot worship a brown god.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's fucking patented and made to sell, right? So yeah, it's bullshit.
Speaking of interesting shirts, there's this picture making the round on Facebook with this guy wearing a shirt that says "The Bums Lost," and he's got a sign that says "Your revolution is over." It's one of the best Lebowski references I've ever seen.
That is fantastic. The bum's lost. Oh man, I suggest you get a job.
I think my favorite line in that scene is when Big Lebowski goes, "I didn't blame anyone for the loss of my legs. Some Chinamen took them from me in Korea." So horrible. Just so stupid. Oh, anyway.
God, that movie should have been up for a few Oscars, huh? Jesus.
Goddamn right.
Well, how about, I love that. Roger Deakins, the guy who should have been nominated for Best Cinematographer for Big Lebowski. That is the name of our best scene of the movie. So what to you won this movie? Like, what's the best part of it?
It caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it to be such a powerful scene, but it is hands down my favorite moment of the movie. Ramses is told that Moses is a Hebrew, has him arrested, parades him in front of the court. And Seti, the Pharaoh, is like, this can't be true. And goes to Moses and says, I don't care if you're Egyptian. I don't care if you're Hebrew. Just tell me you're loyal to me. Tell me that you are my son. Like, it is the most emotional moment. Like, to see the Pharaoh break down and be like, I loved you. I wanted you to rule after me. Please don't take that away. Please don't ruin what we have. I like it. It's so powerful. And Moses' reaction of like, I, I love you, but I will free my people when I get the chance. And Seti just having to be like, I don't want to do this, but you're gone. Like, in front of his whole court, to have to just throw his son away like that. And you can feel the guy who plays Seti, Cedric Hardwick, phenomenal performance in that scene.
Mhm.
Like, you can see that he wants to cry, but he has to be strong. He has to be the Pharaoh. He cannot show weakness. And he's basically forced to throw his son away. And I think just everyone in that scene does such an incredible job. And it's Moses's most pivotal moment, in my opinion, where he's thrown away by the Egyptians and fully transformed into a slave.
Mm-hmm.
And I was blown away. I was like glued to the screen. I could not believe the emotional gravitas of what was going on. I was like, I was not prepared for this. This is turned into a drama. And I was so grateful. Such a great scene.
Yeah. That's the stuff that levels it up, right? To where now the stakes, it doesn't matter if you don't know what's going on in the Bible. The stakes are father and son.
Exactly.
Being separated. Yeah. So I knew that would kind of hit you. And it makes sense to me that you like the first half of the movie more than the second half, because that buildup, that storytelling is pretty precise, pretty spot on as far as how it's going to affect you as an audience member. There's no way you're not going to be stirred by that moment. So yeah, I love that. I went with the big one. I went with the parting of the Red Sea. That whole moment. I think it's like a father and son at one point. His son's like, the wind has moved the water. And he's like, those are God's nostrils. You're like, whoa, just the fucking bonkers stuff. But it's not only the water moving, it's a lot of movie happening around that, and you have the Hebrews, these slaves that have been in bondage forever, walking through the water, and you got folks coming behind him on their fucking chariots, just fucking da-da, let's go. And it's fucking intense. And when that water crashes, there's just nothing like that. It's very rare that a movie, like an epic movie, kind of blows my mind 3 hours in, 3.5 hours in, where I'm like, whoa, this is okay. Here it is. It's finally here. This, I've seen screenshots of this. I've heard people talk about it. I'm finally watching it, and it's totally worth it. People were right. This moment in this movie, the parting of the Red Sea, Ramses fucking confronting that he is a fucking bitch compared to God. All of that stuff is so goddamn cool. I can eat that up kind of all day.
It's a badass scene, and it's really kind of like the definitive scene of the movie for a lot of people. It's become, the movie's been like shown with that scene in the preview. Like, I know I've been going to Santikos Embassy a couple times, and they've been showing a trailer for the 65th anniversary of the 10 Commandments, and that's the scene they use. And of course they do. I mean, not a lot of visual effects can last that long. I still like, how did he do that? It's fantastic. Yeah, I totally get why you'd pick that. It's the ultimate, showcase of God's power versus Ramses' power, and just who's going to win that, pissing contest. I mean, good God.
Exactly. Gotta love that. Yeah, this movie's awesome. I think it could kind of raise as far as me being a fan of it, but right now I give it a solid 8, and I could see that moving up.
Yeah, I too give it an 8. It's a well-told, character-driven drama, and an action film, and a fantasy epic. It's kind of all over the place. It all works. Beautiful.
Man, I love it. this is kind of what we live for right here on Oscar Sunday, is finding these movies that we haven't seen, and you come out on the other end with a new movie in your, in your brain, in your library, and that's the best stuff.
Oh, it's awesome. And it's good to have a win because over the past few weeks, we did, I think last week was She Done Him Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And just, oh God, there's been some weak ones in the past few weeks. It was nice to have a big old strong, Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner drama fantasy monster.
Yeah, just a beast of a movie. Yeah, we've had since the last Best Picture Showdown, which was episode 40. We did Chariots of Fire there. We did In Bruges. We did La Strada. We did She Done Him Wrong, and now here we are with 10 Commandments. Really random group. And next week, back episode 45, back to Best Picture Showdown, and the year is 1999, which is of course American Beauty. Who the fuck wants to talk about that movie? Well, we do, and we want to talk about the other 4 movies that were nominated: The Sixth Sense, Green Mile, Cider House Rules, and what am I forgetting? The Insider. Yeah. Probably my favorite one. Yeah. So we're gonna come back next week with the full fucking slate, 5 movies to talk about. We're gonna really have that conversation about American Beauty. We're gonna give awards out to it and talk a lot of 1999 because it is one of the best movie years of all time.
Oh hell yeah, maybe the best. And I know this one's been on our radar for quite some time since we started the show. This is one of the films we wanted to kind of talk about.
Yeah,
just because of the obviously the overarching controversy of Kevin Spacey and the film's difficult subject matter, knowing what he is now.
Yeah,
and but still a film that won a few Oscars, won Best Picture, started
Best Act, yeah, yeah,
and a film that we got to see does it hold up? Did it deserve it? And I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be an absolute blast. We're gonna rank all 5 again, so both of us are kind of watching all of them to either rewatch or see for the first time and get that kind of opinion. But what's going to be most fun about this one is that you and I have so many favorite movies outside of the Best Picture group.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big one. So come on back next week if you want to dive into a movie that I think still deserves to be talked about. There's so many people that worked on this, and there's a performance from Annette Bening, from Chris Cooper, that these performances I absolutely adore. So I'm excited to kind of go down that road. I love going down that road on this show of places people don't really want to go because it's not that easy. But we kind of invite that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. What have we got to lose?
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Let's talk about a movie. Also, I mean, for me right now, it's been a few years since I've seen American Beauty, maybe 3 or 4 years. Last time I watched it, I liked it, and yeah. I had a good experience watching it. Of course, a lot has happened in the past, 3 or 4 years with Kevin Spacey, the main character guy who plays, I believe his name's Lester, right, in the movie.
Yes.
So, we're not going to shy away from that.
No, but about 10 years for me. I watched it when I first moved here.
So, there you go. No, this is needed for both of us. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I was a massive fan of Kevin Spacey before all that shit went down. So I'll be able to kind of unpack all that next week.
Yeah. Luckily, I was never, well, not luckily, that's a really weird way to put it, but I was never a huge fan of his. I think, in Usual Suspects, he's fucking wonderful. And there's a few, like Pay It Forward, I really like what he's doing in that movie. I think he's really good in Baby Driver. There's ones here and there, but he wasn't a guy I was like I got to see everything he's in, and yeah. I feel really bad for people who felt that or feel that way about him because, yeah, I mean, I've gone through that, man. I've gone through that where someone Shia LaBeouf, he's a guy that I see as just uber talented, but the guy probably just should be working right now and needs to go get some help.
Yeah, and Spacey, if what happened is true, and it probably is, fuck him, and he needs. Yeah,
well, he should have gone to prison a long time ago, but long before that, he also should have gotten help. I mean, this industry is so goddamn nasty, and nobody ever wants to talk about anything that's really on their heart. They don't want it. It's just all facades and surface bullshit, you know? So we just are not a podcast to shy away from talking shit about that stuff, because it's not cool.
Exactly. I mean, you know, 45, like 44 in now. I mean, we have gone to some interesting places on this show already that have just tackled, you know, taboo subjects not a lot of people want to bring up. And I love when we get to do that, because we get to be honest and get to really, you know, point out some hypocrisy. And that's always great. Hollywood is full of hypocrisy. It always has been. And you know, someone's got to shine a flashlight on that shit.
Yeah. Well, also being okay with, hey, there are people who are worked on this that aren't terrible people. You know, just have some, you know, take everything with a grain of salt, but all, you know, be realistic, you know.
Hell yeah. On the Filmgazm podcast this Wednesday, Josh and I are doing Lucio Fulci's The Beyond.
Nice.
Very excited for that. My first foray into Fulci. Going to be watching that film tomorrow night. Well, I guess tonight. And
yikes.
On sneak preview, Caleb and I will be tackling Godzilla versus Kong, the film that's going to save the movie theaters, most likely. So looking forward to that big time. Can't wait. Going to be some good shit. And as always, had a blast. And I hope you did too.
Hell yeah, man. Good talks. And I'm sure we got really good stuff going on all around. You know, I cannot wait to hear you guys talk about those two monsters going at it. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks a bunch. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next Sunday.